I am so excited about today's episode because I get to sit back and enjoy fabulous conversation today with an incredible human whose story, drive, and passion to help others absolutely inspires me. I'm so excited she's here on the podcast today, sharing her voice with all of you. Her name is Sarah Tolson. She is the founder of Grounded Harmony and a guide to those who are navigating grief, transition, and uncertainty. After her daughter's cancer diagnosis opened her up to spirit, I know, right? She discovered healing through Reiki and mediumship and now helps others find connection, clarity, and peace. With a background in business and a grounded approach, Sarah creates compassionate spaces where clients can reconnect with their inner light and loved ones in spirit. And that's exactly why I'm so excited to have her on the podcast today. So without further ado, here she comes, and we will welcome her in and hear all about her incredible story. I hope you enjoy. And please, please, please go follow her on all the socials too. She's an incredible practitioner and healer, and she's exactly what you need in your life. All right. Sarah is here, everybody. Miss Sarah Tolson, the lovely, the beautiful, the gorgeous soul that she is. Thank you so much for being here today, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me, Nicole. I'm so excited to be here and to visit with you and to see where our conversation goes today.
Oh my gosh, me too. And it's so interesting because I know we were talking about setting up this interview a while ago, and Spirit was like, mid to end of October, mid to end of October. So we've done that. And so I think it's probably a product of me rebranding my podcast, whatever you're going through. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure it will come out today why we have to delay the start of this podcast. I'm so excited.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would love it if you could give a little background about you and your story and how you got started in the spiritual space.
Yeah. So unbeknownst to me, the building up to my story and how I opened up to spirit, that started really, really young for me, but I didn't realize it at the time. My life when I was younger was not the easiest. I had parents that loved me very much, but I was kind of left to my own to do a lot of things, and I was the oldest of four siblings, and so kind of responsible for them growing up. And I became a mom at 17, so a lot of hard things with that. Had to make a lot of life decisions of, do I want to work hard and make my way, or should I rely on the government and state? And my husband and I, we chose the former and pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we worked really hard throughout our lives. Um, and at a very young age, I think we were our early 20s, his mom passed away, followed by a grandparent and another grandparent and another grandparent and another grandparent. So a lot of loss, really, really young in our lives, and a lot of struggles. And on the heels of all of those passings, my family started having issues. I have a brother who was in a car wreck and became a quadriplegic when he was 18 years old. And so you could imagine that was a little traumatic. And then follow that on the heels of my other brother coming back from serving in Iraq with a lot of trauma, and starting down a road to drug addiction at a very young age. And during all of that time, my mom and I had a falling out, and we went no contact for about 10 years. And so a lot of challenges, right? A lot of hard things that were happening in my life. And I think we'd been no contact for about 10 years, and my mom had an aneurysm and passed. And of course, I'm the oldest child. I have one brother that's a quadriplegic, another brother that was addicted to drugs and, not really reliable. And then my youngest sister, who's much younger than me. So I was left to kind of take care of mom, be in charge of medical decisions and last affairs. So a lot of hard things. But then, then came the real whammy. My daughter, who is, let's see, she was 7 years old at the time, started having seizures. And she's a relatively healthy kiddo, meeting milestones and things. And she starts having seizures. And so we go to the children's hospital, and they don't really know what's going on, but things get progressively worse. We're admitted. Nobody knows why she's having all of these seizures back to back. And then she gets a cancer diagnosis. So we're in the hospital over her 8th birthday, and we get a cancer diagnosis, which you can imagine is a bit traumatic.
Yeah.
And our worlds were really and truly rocked. And so at this point, both of my husband's parents have passed. My mom has passed. Our support group, thank God, my husband has many siblings that are amazing. And so we did have quite a bit of support during this time, but it's just hard. And so as we're going through her chemotherapy, which we spent 6 to 9 months in the hospital, just, chemotherapy, surgeries, imaging, just so many different things. Really, the only place that I was able to find solace was a little bit of time here and there sitting in meditation. And that, brought me a little bit of peace and comfort. But where I really opened up to spirit was after my daughter's cancer journey. And just for the listeners, heads up, I'm able to smile and talk about this because she's okay. She is cancer free. She does still have a seizure disorder that is very rare. And who knows what her prognosis is with that. We just kind of are along for the ride. But when she finished treatment and was declared cancer free, I went to one of my very dear friends for a Reiki session. My daughter had had Reiki throughout chemo, and it had really helped her. And so I thought, okay, medically, she's stable. I'm a mess,
Yeah.
as you could imagine.
Yep.
And so I go to my friend for this Reiki session because I'm ready to begin my healing journey, ready to put my life back together after this 6 to 9 months of hell. And during this Reiki session, my mind is blown. Because leading up to this, my day job, I run a medical billing company. It's very black and white, very analytical.
Right.
I'm not a creative person up to this point in my life. And so, I'm just kind of reaching out, grasping at straws, looking for something that's going to help me to feel better. And so I go to this Reiki session and my mind is blown. She takes me through this session and I'm having these images and, seeing things, and these impressions and memories are coming up. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. I feel really relaxed. That's great. But after the session, she recounts for me every single memory or vision or thing that I experienced without me telling her.
Wow.
And I was like, how the hell do you know this? Like,
right. Yes.
What the hell? So the next morning, so that kind of really opened my eyes because I really trust this person and there was no way for her to know any of these things. And the next morning, I'm in the shower and thinking about some of the things that she said, and I hear a voice in my head, and I honestly thought I was crazy. But this voice told me there are others, and you need to find them. So I'm like, okay, well, who the hell are they? And where are they? And am I going to be locked up? So from there, I text my friend. I'm like, what the hell did you do to me? What's happening? And she tells me, no, that's not what it is. You're a healer. And this is a gift and this is a great message that you have received. And it took me some time, given my background, to accept that, because I thought surely she's cuckoo too. We're all losing it.
Yes.
But my background with her, my understanding of her as a person told me otherwise, right? And I knew I wasn't actually losing it. So yeah, that started me down this journey of let's explore Reiki, right? And let's learn about Reiki. And from that, I went through courses and got training, and so I'm now a Reiki master teacher. But along that journey, I started having messages from spirit, and I reached out just on a whim, and I went to a practice circle, and I gave a 20-minute reading to some lady that I'd never met.
Mm-hmm.
and had no idea how the hell I did it. And honestly, I was scared to tell my husband. I didn't tell him for like 6 weeks because I thought I was losing it and he was going to lock me up.
Yep.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, so through all of that trauma and that hardship, all of those things, they kind of led up to me having this awareness that when our loved ones, when they pass, they don't really go anywhere. They're still with us day to day. Because when I was in the hospital with my daughter and I would meditate, my mom was the one that would come and sit with me. Um,
It's incredible.
and right. And,
It's so
I
incredible. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I thought it was normal because, she's my family, right? Of course, your family you can, communicate with. I don't know. To me, that didn't fall in the mediumship bucket at that point in time. Um, but yeah, it just kind of gradually in bits and steps, that's how I have come to, be able to communicate with others that have passed. But yeah, it's been a wild journey.
I can't so and what is I think most insane about you, Sarah, and I know listeners are just hearing you for the first time. The first time I met you, I never knew any of these things about you, right? And so like what is so interesting to me is how your story is so incredible and heartbreaking and the ultimate story of perseverance in my mind. And yet when you and it's so funny because spirit chose my clothes today. They were like, wear black, like look really nice, but then like put on a jean jacket over it because this is who you are, because you have been through the gamut. You have been through the worst of what a lot of people could possibly go through in your life. And when people come and meet you, you don't let any of it show. And you're not a victim and you're not a poor me. And so there's just something about you and you did say it. It's almost like you've done such a great job picking yourself up by the bootstraps. And you're able to put so many things in perspective that allow you to not only survive, but thrive in your life. And so I know that your team is proud of you, but as somebody on the outside watching you, I just have to say, like, holy shit, like that's fucking incredible. Um, and if you don't, if this is too personal, but I would love, please don't answer it or tell me to go fuck off. That's fine too. But what do you think? I mean, I definitely want to go into the mediumship and your lessons or in like how it's affected you. But before we go there, what do you think the lesson was for all of the trauma that you've been through in your life? And I know it's not you, right? You were kind of put in the middle of all of these very traumatic situations. And I love that you
Mhm.
met your husband and had your daughter so young, because it's like God in the spirit world set you up to know that you're going to need each other through all of this stuff that's about to unfold for you. But is there any insight at a soul level why your soul would choose so much trauma so quickly in your life? I'm sorry, that's the way I want to say it.
Yeah, yeah. And um, I think a couple things. So, one thing that has been a benefit to me is like things are pretty black and white for me in a lot of instances. And so, I mean, that's really how my brain works. Things are very black and white. It is or it isn't, it's true or it's not. And so, as I've encountered challenges, it's like, okay, well, I can make a choice. How am I going to deal with this? It's up to me. Um, and I think that all of these things, because unfortunately, I learned the hard way, right? That's another
Mhm.
thing that I know about myself. And so I do think, had I not had all of these lessons and had the repetition of, okay, here's another shitty thing that you've
Mhm.
got to figure out and you've got to pull yourself through, I may not have had the belief when my daughter went through her cancer journey that I could get myself through it had I not had all of these difficult things. And I do think so. One of the things that has always really puzzled me about my journey, because I've also been a believer of everything. I mean, I know this sounds terrible in some circumstances to some people, but I think everything does happen for a reason.
I
Um, there,
agree.
there is a reason for everything that happens to us. And I know people that have lost children. There's a lot of cancer moms that I'm friends with that have lost children, and I can understand how in that situation, I don't know if I would think the same thing, So I'm not claiming to know this for everybody, but for myself personally, everything that has happened in my life, I do think has happened for a reason. But the one thing that really puzzled me for a long time was my relationship with my mom. Because growing up, we had been thick as thieves. We had been,
Mm.
partners and best friends, and she was such a big part of my life. And when and really it was when she hit midlife, she divorced my dad. My brother had his wreck, and things were rough for her. And I think she was also going through menopause at the time. So I can imagine now looking back what a shit show that might have been for her emotionally. But I couldn't understand at the time why. Why
Mm.
did there need to be this rift between the two of us? And I think now that she's passed, now that my daughter has gone through her cancer journey, I have finally figured that out. Um, you know, I needed space from her so that I could stand on my own 2 feet
Yep.
through all of these challenges. And that was only going to happen if there was a large physical distance or a large emotional distance between the two of us. Um, but not only that, I needed to understand and have a perspective of what not what having a toxic relationship,
Hmm.
what not having healthy boundaries, what that can do to your relationship with your child. Because my daughter, fortunately or unfortunately, is a mini of me. And
Same.
yeah,
Yep.
and I am so hard-headed. I am so stubborn, and so is she. And so having that perspective of like, okay, this is what happens when you don't have a good relationship with your parent. This is what happens when they don't heal their shit when they're
Mm.
trying to parent you. Um, then I wouldn't have had the perspective to be able to work on myself and have the humility to admit when I am wrong or when, I need to put myself on the back burner so that I can work on parenting her and setting her up for success. And had I not had that falling out with my mom, I wouldn't have had the perspective
Mm.
to work on myself and be who I needed to be to help my daughter. Because it's not, in her instance, you think about a kiddo that has cancer, and yes, she was very sick, but she also, her seizure disorder is caused by an autoimmune condition that causes a lot of behavioral issues. And so she has a lot of aggression at times. She has a lot of meltdowns, and they're beyond her control. Um, and if you are not a really patient and strong person, it's really hard to get her through those things. And so I've had to do a significant amount of work on myself. And so all of those little traumas and things that have happened throughout my life really have helped me to open my eyes and be aware of what I need to do to help her so that we can have a better relationship than what my mom and I had.
I love that so much. I really do. And it's where you have been through so much and it could have hardened you and allowed it to turn inward. It's almost like it had the exact opposite effect for you. And although I know that you're strong enough to handle all of these, you're also this amazing safe space for your family. I'm sure for your clients, and I'm sure we'll chat about that too. And I love that you have the strength and ability to persevere. And I'm in so much awe of your story. And I think it's a wonderful story to tell, to remind people that they have choices. You don't need to be the victim in your life. And you, in your soul, has curated this seemingly perfect, imperfect path for you for a reason. So thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable, Sarah. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned how my journey could have hardened me, but it had the exact opposite effect. So I've been going through it with the energy of being as crazy as it is. And
Yes.
yesterday, I had a friend reach out and she's like, well, what's your why? What's your why for all the things in your life? And so I took a few moments to sit down and write down my why. And the biggest thing is for me to bring comfort to others, to help soften the sharp edges of pain and grief that other people have. And not only that, but I want my daughter to see me showing unconditional love to everybody. And, that was one thing in my childhood, that love was conditional, acceptance
Mhm.
and praise was conditional. And, I want to see, I want her to see me giving that to everybody and not reserving it for special situations or when people do things the way that I want. And so it really is interesting that you made that comment, because that softness is really something that has been a big change in my life, because before her cancer journey, I was a lot harder and a lot less forgiving than I am now. So it definitely has had the opposite effect for sure.
Oh, that's so amazing. So, and I love that why. That's such a beautiful why. And I think it's just so true to you and the strengths that you bring as a soul and the story that you've been through. And I think this is just an amazing example about how each of our unique souls, again, choose these very unique paths just for exactly what we're meant to do in this lifetime. So, speaking of which, Sarah, I would love to chat a little bit about how this spiritual path has changed you. I think you started to walk down there and started to allude to, creating this softness within you, this soft strength within you. I'm gonna call it like the best of the divine feminine and masculine kind of mixed in one is really what it feels like. How has the spiritual path changed you, in addition to what you've already kind of mentioned with the softness, with the strength, with the perspective?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things is, um, I don't make assumptions anymore about anything, because I think that is the one thing that the spiritual path has taught me, is that I don't know jack about anyone or anything.
Yep. Truth. Yep.
Yeah, and I think we can make assumptions about people's behavior, right? And somebody behaves a certain way, we assume that it must be for a certain reason, but we just don't know. And not only with people here in the physical and assumptions about them, but assumptions about what we know about life and our existence and consciousness. I maybe know like this much, there's so much that we don't know and we can't understand. Um, but I believe it's possible based on my experiences, based on the things that, I've seen and heard and known. So yeah, don't make assumptions.
Well said. And like yes, absolutely. I think you are the number one person to say that because you have been through so much, and I don't think anyone would walk in assuming any of that has happened to you. I know personally that I didn't at all. And so as we think about kind of taking this beautiful perspective you have of non-judgment, of softness and strength at the same time, let's talk about your business and how you support your clients, and what are some of the things that you help them with? What are some of the transformations you've seen? I'd love to chat more about like you and how you serve your community.
Yeah. So I think, one of the things that I find really fascinating in connecting with spirit. So there are two main service offerings that I focus on. One is mediumship readings, or a mix of mediumship, Akashic records, psychic reading, and the other is Reiki. And, Reiki for me, that's where I started. I absolutely love Reiki so much. And I'm a really strong, firm believer, that it has such an amazing place to help people heal, emotionally, physically, mentally, all of those different things. But one of the things that I think is the biggest thing that I see in my clients is, generally people come to you and they have some sort of a struggle or a challenge that they're encountering, but they might not really be aware that that is their biggest hurdle. And until we go through a reading and, their spirit team brings in like, hey, these are the things that you're really good at, and that's often what happens in my readings. I'll have, a farmer come through for his granddaughter, and he might, tell me about how he had a lot of grit, and, he was resourceful and he got the job done no matter what. And he was able to provide for his family. That generally ends up pertaining to my sitter's situation. They're going through something where they don't know if they're strong enough. They don't know if they're going to be able to make it out the other end of the challenge that they're encountering. And their loved one comes in to remind them, look, I'm your relative. You have all of the strength that is within me is within you. And even if you need a little bump, if you need a little extra, I'm here in your corner to give that to you. And so I really, that's what seems to come up the most in my readings is they're going through it. Maybe not in the same way that I was, but in something that seems hard for them. And their team comes in to remind them how strong they really are. But not only that, how they have this unseen team of loved ones and spirit guides that are behind them and with them every single day to help them through whatever it is. But it's always a reminder of the inner strength that each of us has. And so it's really interesting that regardless of how many readings I do, that is always the theme.
Doesn't that perfectly portray the role your soul has chosen to play here? Absolutely perfect.
Yeah. And I don't know. I always think it's really ironic because I think, okay, this reading is going to be different. This reading is going to be different. And the underlying theme, the circumstances, the situations, they're all a little bit different. But really it's to be, that safe harbor for people and remind them like, hey, you are strong, you are capable. Because ultimately, I think in this industry, in the metaphysical industry, I think a lot of people come looking to be fixed. They come looking for answers. And I mean, that's what I was looking for when I had that very first Reiki session. It's like, I'm broken. I need to be fixed. But that's really not how it is. It's we as metaphysical practitioners are here to remind our clients that you are whole, you have everything. You might need to look inside and maybe you need a little help seeing that. Maybe you need someone to shine some light on your strength for you, but you have everything that you need inside of you. And so, yeah, I don't know, it's really fun. It's a nice place to be in, to be able to be on mostly the other side of the hard shit in my life and be able to help other people.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. And yes, I don't ever get too sure in those shoes, right? Because the second you get cocky and overconfident, that's when life reminds you that you should stay humble. So
it's true. And I want to reflect back two things for you. So number one, I think everybody, I'm going to pause after this one. Everybody should be choosing practitioners who have done the work on themselves, who have healed themselves so that they don't walk into your session with bias, with their own energy and kind of giving that to you. Fair enough?
Yes.
I mean, I think both of us have probably experienced that one. And so number two, I want to add that as you're talking about your story and as you're talking about your clients, what spirit is showing me in my head is that through all of your lessons, I'm gonna use like poker chips as a nice little, maybe they're hearts instead of circles. I don't know, but it feels like every time you've gone through and accomplished something or gone through and processed something and reminded yourself of these inner strengths, that you've gathered all these like heart-shaped poker chips in your hand, in your energy field. And when clients are coming to you, it feels like you're like giving them back to them. And you're like, here you go, take this energy, take this burst of self-trust, take this burst of self-healing and allow yourself to become the person that you want to be. And you don't need my validation or energy to do so. But here you go. This is just a reflection and reminder to you of how strong you are. And so, like, I see you energetically giving them a little bit of you in every single reading and every single Reiki session so that they can do that same self reflection and allow them to become their best selves, just like you have. You have gone through all the hurdles, all the obstacles, and you've still ended up stronger, and they can do the same.
Yeah, yeah, that resonates so much, because I think, you know, I don't know, what I feel like is I'm so battle tested when it comes to trauma, right? I mean, yes, there are traumas that I haven't experienced, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that. Um, but I have experienced enough trauma that I know what it feels like, right? I know how hard and challenging it can be, but I definitely have built myself up and I've been resilient enough that I do have some to spare, right? And yeah, I think one of the things that I say in my day job when we have new people start is, we're only as strong as our weakest link. And I think that's true for humanity too. And
Mm.
so if every person we come in contact with that is having a challenge or having a hard day or, having a down day, if we can help to build them up and show them how they can do that for themselves, then they're able to turn around and pass that on to others and pay it forward. And so, um, helping others really helps all of us collectively, I feel like.
And there's the tie into the unity code. Thank you, Sarah. Like, spirit's like, we're going to get it in there somehow. And I'm like, I don't know how. There it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it really is, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, we can feel on a day-to-day basis. And Nicole, before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about this, about how the energy recently is hard, and it's the collective energy is a lot of it. And even if you try and stay removed to things that are going on in the world, whether it's in another country or here in our own, you can still feel the weight and the stress of that. And each of us has an opportunity to impact that, right? And we can choose how we impact it. Are we going to positively impact others that we come into contact with so that they pay that forward? Or, maybe not so positively. And a very simple way is, you're driving in traffic and somebody cuts you off and they're speeding and they're driving like an idiot. Um, Before my daughter had so many medical emergencies, I had terrible road rage and I would get so upset. But I've driven like an asshole a lot of times trying to get to the hospital and race the ambulance that my daughter was in. And so I have a lot of grace for people because I don't know what they're going through. And so I'm going to, rather than impact people in a negative way and be a jerk and flip them off, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm just going to smile and let you go and, send you some love because yeah, you just never know.
Absolutely, because we don't have to be a victim to these collective energies either. We can be choose different choices, right? And put positive energy and loving energy out there to help other people too, whether they know it or not, because they're still going to feel it because they're part of this collective.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
1,000%. Yes.
Yep. And what's cracking me up in my mind is it kind of goes both ways too. So I'm seeing you zoom through this traffic in my mind. And it reminds me of when I was at a festival and I got there early to get a seat. And then a whole bunch of people stood in front of me when I had the seat. And I was so pissed off, Sarah. I was so pissed off. So in my mind, I was setting out the energy of making people in front of me really uncomfortable so that they'd move, and they fucking moved. So, so I guess it goes both ways. I don't know what energy is going to come back to me for that. But you can impact it. So play with the energy, everybody. Play with sending out loving, kind energy. If somebody pisses you off, or if you're in traffic and someone's driving you nuts in front of you, send in the energy that they need to move out of the lane, right? They need to move to the side, and see if that, like, I think that's what's so fun and amazing about this work is you write your reality, you write the codes of your own reality. And so, and I think, Sarah, your story is such a beautiful story. You are such a beautiful person that reflects that you can create and write your reality, even given some of the most traumatic of circumstances, and still come out positive on the other end.
Yeah. I mean, and it really is your reality to an extent is of your choosing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may not be able to choose the events that occur throughout your life, at least consciously, right? Because certainly, if I could have consciously chosen that my daughter didn't have cancer and didn't have the seizure disorder, I definitely would have made that choice consciously. Um, but I did have the ability to choose what my perspective was about it. What was my outlook? Did I want to be a victim and be angry? And I mean, yes, you do feel those feelings and go through that, but you get to choose, are you going to stay there? Or are you going to take your experience and turn it into something positive? And that's, um, I think that's a big piece of what I've tried to do with Reiki. A lot of the cancer moms that are here in the area, because you would not believe how many kids are diagnosed with cancer every day. It is insane. And it is really hard and traumatic when you go through it, but it's it's such a great thing and it makes me feel so good to be able to offer Reiki to the cancer moms that are here and just give them this little tiny bit of respite and reprieve. Um, but that's me taking that horrible hellacious journey that I went through
Mm-hmm.
and finding something positive that I can do. What's my give back? How can I help others? Because we're all kind of here to help each other.
Oh, I love that. So well said. And can you think of an example of a client or a session that you've had with somebody that has been so impactful for them?
Yeah. There's a particular mom, and bless this woman. Her story is similar to mine in that her and her husband, they struggled with infertility for a really long time, finally get pregnant, and then their boys, they're pregnant with twins, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're born incredibly premature. They're micro preemies. So like on the border of feasibility, really. And so they've worked so hard and they've tried for so long to get pregnant. They finally get pregnant, but then they have this really scary traumatic birth. And both of her babies are life flighted to the children's hospital here in our area. And she doesn't know if they're going to make it, right? She has to leave the hospital without her babies. Um, and then one of these two boys ends up having cerebral palsy and has a lot of challenges that way. The other kiddo is autistic. And then the one with cerebral palsy and a number of other significant challenges, he's diagnosed with cancer. So
Wow.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
But she's going through all of these things, and so I reached out to her. I'm like, hey, you're going through it. Would you like a Reiki session? No strings attached. Like, let me just hold this space for you. Um, and she comes and she has her session, and just throughout the session, just tears streaming, right? She's able to let go of so much of that grief and stress and worry that she has been carrying for years because her kids both are really high acuity and they take a lot of work for her to keep them alive and happy and healthy. And she's able to put that down, but from that she is able to turn around and she runs it's a softball tournament that's here locally where they honor cancer kids. And so
Mm.
each team in this softball tournament, they honor a cancer kid and they bring joy to these cancer kids. And so this sweet mama, she has so much going on, right? So much stress, so much struggle and overwhelm. Just giving that little bit of respite and reprieve helps people so that they have that opportunity to turn around and pay it back to others. It creates that mental space for them so that they're able to go on and continue paying it forward.
Oh, that's so amazing. Thank you, Sarah. And I know that you get a lot of downloads in your sessions as well that you can share with clients too. So how I know after hearing your story, hearing the lovely, free impact that you've helped with this local mom, how can people get in touch with you? How can people work with you? Because I know people who've gotten sessions from you and I know how magical they are. So please tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
Yes, yes. So I'm on Instagram, Grounded Harmony Wellness, and my website is groundedharmonywellness.com. And both of those places have links to my booking page. I offer mediumship sessions, I offer remote Reiki sessions, and that's the amazing thing about Reiki is it can be done remotely. So people across the nation from me, I'm in Utah, and I do offer sessions locally, but across the nation, that's something that we're able to do as well. And so, yeah, Instagram or my website are great places to get in touch.
Amazing. And is there anything that we haven't covered today so far that you wanted to make sure we're sharing for you, for the listeners? I don't know why I want to put the open-ended thing out there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I want to make sure everybody takes away, I'm hoping everybody takes away from this is, looking inward and taking time to sit with yourself really will help everyone to uncover the inner strength that they have and the power that they have to influence their own lives. And so, if nothing else, taking some time and really taking a look at how you choose to view your life. It's such an empowering thing. It's such an empowering exercise. And I just hope everybody has an opportunity to benefit from that.
Oh, that's so gorgeous. Thank you again, Sarah. And thank you for
Mm.
being here and sharing your time and incredibly vulnerable story and all of your wisdom here today with me, with my listeners. And for those of you that are resonating with Sarah's story, please reach out, please book a session with her. You are not going to want to miss out. She's absolutely talented and absolutely amazing. And I know that she's got big things in her future because I can feel it and I can see it. So get in there now while you can, everybody. But Sarah, thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate, love, and adore you.
Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. It has been my absolute pleasure. I'm so honored to be able to be here and visit with you today.